You could actually be in a situation where one decision could actually just change everything. That's what happened to me. Like, and that completely changed my life.
It is a tough decision, and not one that you can make lightly.
How can I stop myself from doing that? Because I do make bad choices, but sometimes I can't help myself.
It had to come from me, because I wasn't gonna get, like, you know, some superhero flying through into the window and grabbing me and taking me into a wonderful new career.
I think once you kind of realise that you are in control of the situation rather than blaming on other external factors, then I think you would then purposely make better choices. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Middle Ground podcast. I'm your host, Rhys White.
And I'm Olivier Nicholas.
And on today's topic, we're talking about the power of every decision, okay? Or the power of choice, however you want to phrase it. But before we go into that, we are offering something for free. Is that right? Is that right, Olivier? What are we offering?
Completely free. So just hit the link in the description and you're going to get the Middle Ground method, which is going to give you a great start to either your fitness career or kind of facing setbacks. Why do I always call it a fitness career?
Not fitness career.
You have a fitness career.
Yeah, I've got a fitness. But no,
fitness journey.
Yeah, fitness journey, that's it. But like, yeah, you get a free training plan, recipe book, a video from myself explaining how to kickstart your health journey, and then you get a really cool video from Olivier.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about career setbacks. I'm going to be talking about failures, how to reframe those. Going to be talking about the growth mindset and how you can develop your growth mindset and how you can essentially accelerate your career. Yeah,
I mean everything you need really, if I'm being honest, and it's completely for free. So yeah, hit that link.
£0 now, £0 later.
Yeah. we should probably charge for this in the future, but all good.
Get it whilst it's free.
Yeah. but no. All right. So episodes, we're talking about power of every decision that you make, and this is something I brought to you, Olivier, wasn't it? Because I feel like I did a presentation for my clients, my fitness clients. So like every Thursday I do a Zoom call. Is either like a presentation about mindset, exercise, nutrition, or just catching up kind of thing. But when I did this presentation for them, I was like, we need to talk about this on the podcast, because it was quite a eye opener, not only for me presenting the presentation or the Zoom call to them, but also I think a lot of my clients left it feeling that they're more in control of their situation than they think. And I thought that was a super powerful thing. And there's actually, I started off the presentation with two quotes. Okay, so quote number one is, every moment is a choice, every choice is a step, and every step shapes your future. And then the other quote is, men are not products of their circumstances, men are products of their decisions. So what do you think when you hear those kind of two phrases?
I mean, I completely agree that particularly with the second one. The second one resonated more with me.
Yeah.
Because quite often people blame their situation on external factors, and obviously that will be true to some degree in some cases, you know, in terms of, not to get too deep on this one, but like systemic racism will obviously have an impact on people's circumstances and things like that. And sexism will have an impact on circumstances. But let's say that, you know, we're taking these things off of the table. I believe everyone's responsible for where they go in life and how they progress, you know, and that doesn't mean that they have to do it all themselves. It just means that they have to actively be trying to do it. So, you know, for example, if you're trying to progress in your career, or if you're trying to progress in your fitness journey, get a PT, get a coach. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no one's saying everyone has to do it all themselves.
Yeah.
But and you can't enlist the support of someone else to guide you. But you have to take an active role in your life. You have to play the main character in your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And rather than saying, you know, and actually this was me for a while. This was me for a long time. In my second career, which was when I was in doing in an e-commerce company, and I'd hit a ceiling, right? I wasn't getting any higher anytime soon in the company, and I wasn't for a long time willing to take responsibility for that, but actually it had to come from me, because I wasn't gonna get some superhero flying through into the window and grabbing me and taking me into a wonderful new career.
Yeah.
You have to play an active role in that. So I believe that the decisions that you make are going to determine the outcome, whether that's positive or negative or stagnant, in my case, in that previous position.
Yeah. That's interesting you said that, because I feel like people do kind of make excuses. They're too busy, they don't have time, or they're too stressed. I've heard all the excuses in the book as a coach, but it's the choices that they're making that's making them not have time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, I think I definitely used to be in your situation where I was kind of like almost feeling sorry for myself, and I wasn't particularly happy, or I was very unfit, and I was blaming it on a lot of other things apart from myself. But actually, when people say they don't have time to go to the gym, you do have time. You're just choosing not to get up earlier.
Yeah.
When you say you don't have time to cook food for you, you're choosing to get the takeaway, or instead of going out and getting food and doing a food shop or cooking for yourself.
Yeah.
There's so many things, and actually when you think about it, we make, I'm going to say, like thousands of choices every day without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like as soon as we wake up, we're choosing to stay in bed or get up.
Yeah.
We're choosing to, brush our teeth or have a shower or go to the gym or lift up a seat when we're taking a piss. There's so many kind of, do you know what I mean? We're making so many choices without even knowing it during the day. And actually, those choices that we make, whether we're aware of them or not, does have an impact on the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Or actually your future, I suppose, isn't it? So it's like kind of like a domino effect, right?
And I think that's the first phrase that you said, I think that's what that one's about, right?
Yeah.
Like every action starts with what was it?
Oh, so every moment is a choice, every choice is a step, and every step shapes your future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's almost like you could actually be in a situation where one decision could actually just change everything. And I'm going to use two examples, okay? Especially kind of like, maybe this is more relevant to the guys I work with, or as a fitness coach. But when the alarm, there's two people, and when the alarm goes off, one person has a choice, and he chooses to snooze his alarm. He then stays in bed. He then wakes up late. He's then rushing to get stuff ready for work. He leaves his lunch at home because of that. He then goes into work a bit groggy. He then has to buy food out. He's, and then later he's tired, so he ends up watching TV till late. That one decision of just deciding to stay in bed or not could actually just, without you knowing, have a massive impact on the rest of your day. In comparison to the guy who just gets up when the alarm goes off. He then goes to the gym, gets his workout done. He's organised. He goes into work feeling good. He's got his lunch ready. He's then got time in the evening to spend, with his family and chill. And it's been a good day. Like that obviously over exaggerates slightly, but I do think not only that is relevant to your day, but also how you start your week. Yeah, don't you think?
And also what sort of person you're kind of voting to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's a bit like, and people have varying views on the idea of habits. And I actually read an article the other day, like saying farewell or goodbye to atomic habits.
Yeah,
which I thought was a really interesting take. But the reason I'm saying that is that when you do these things, if you do them enough, they become habitual.
Yeah.
Right? You do something once, fine, whatever. You do something twice. Okay. To do something 3 times, like that's what the thing that you do now potentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're, by sort of succumbing to that and not correcting that behavior, you're actually making a vote. You're placing a vote for a different version of yourself that you might not like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you're constantly choosing the better option, and it could be thousands of small things, but majority of them are like could essentially lead you to where you want to be, especially if you do want to get fit or you do want to build a career. There's just certain situations where you can make a better choice, and actually I think that's one thing I really wanted to stress, is that choice then becomes a very powerful thing. But not only can it shape your future, but that's something that's all down to you. You're the person making that decision, and no one can take that away from you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're the person who's taking control of your actions.
Yeah.
And you're deciding whether you want to go one path or the other, which I truly think is a powerful thing. And once you realise that actually one small decision or better choice that you make could actually then have such a big impact on your day, on your week, on your month, potentially, like, you know, even deciding just fuck it, I'm going to get a personal trainer. That's what happened to me. Like, and that completely changed my life. Do you know what I mean? You have no idea where that one choice is actually just going to take you and have a domino effect. Like, when I decided to go to the gym, I had no idea I was going to become a personal trainer and leave my job that I hated, or you know, so many things. But that all happened by me making one choice in that moment.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And to throw something else into the mix as well, a phrase that I quite like by Jim Rohn, which is you are the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with, or something like that.
Yeah,
and we all have a decision to make in terms of who those people are, right? So if we are willing to accept that we are the sum of the average, rather, of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, we get to curate that. You know, we have decisions that we can make that can curate that. Like, so, you know, when I was younger, for example, I switched friendship groups once because the friendship group that I was in didn't feel like it was like going in a good direction. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I thought, you know what, actually, these guys, I don't really see I see where their future is ending up based on, you know, assumption that I'm making on the behavior that they're showing me, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I made new friends. So that was a decision. That was a decision that to curate essentially my future. So
it's a tough decision.
It's a really tough decision. Yeah, it is a tough decision, and not one that you can make lightly. But I think, you know, these days as well, you know, if you want to like advance your career, or you want to get, you know, develop personally, you know, personal development, who are you spending time with that is supporting that vision? Like, and who are you spending time with that's actually pulling that, who's like kind of acting as a barrier towards that, and, you know, worse, even taking you backwards. Did you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think coming back to your situation where you felt like you had to change friendship groups, that's a super tough decision to make. Massively. Because I think most people would almost accept their situation as it is. Like, these are my friends, and, you know, the thought of going out and making new friends, or, you know, a new friendship group is very, I think, will make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. Yeah,
I mean, it made me feel uncomfortable, and it wasn't easy.
But I think that's the thing where it's like it's mostly the hard choices that will give you the easier life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's the easy options that will make your life harder.
Yeah.
Like, easy options is, you know, staying in bed, getting a takeaway, staying with that group of friends, even though you know that's not the right, you know, but that's not going to bring you any good. They're all easy things to do because you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know,
there's no friction.
Yeah, exactly. But getting out of bed, going to the gym, meal prepping, going and get your steps in when it's raining, you know, making a new friendship group because you know that's going to benefit you, you know, career change, all that kind of stuff. They're all hard things.
Yeah.
But if they feel uncomfortable and if they feel hard, I genuinely think that's a good sign. Do you know what I mean?
I think I've started leaning into that a bit more now. I mean, like, I guess arguably I lent into it when I was younger and I sort of switched friendship groups, but like leaving my last job and starting my own business was one of the toughest things I've ever done. And I massively doubted myself doing it, and you know, still do to some degree. So that was a deeply, deeply, deeply unpleasant and tough thing to do. But ultimately, I'm so much happier now. Yeah. You know, and that has a knock-on effect to the wider, you know, like to my wife, for example. You know, like I remember when in my last job, and I was just like, I wasn't sleeping. I was suffering from real bad anxiety, and making a decision under those circumstances is very difficult. Yeah, you know, like we were saying before, like it's like when you're in a heightened emotional state, trying to be pragmatic is the last thing you can possibly do. So you're not going to be making any smart moves. But I think for me, it was more of a breaking point thing rather than, you know, like a kind of strategic leap. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And I think also it's just kind of like, no, I kind of went through exactly the same thing, like choosing to leave a job out, even though I hated it, it was comfortable, right? I was getting paid a salary and it was consistent pay. And going into the unknown of being self-employed was terrifying. And yeah, you to put it simply, you are just stuck with a choice, aren't you? Yeah. Either you go for it or you don't. If you don't go for it, you kind of know what's going to happen because you're just doing the same shit that you were doing before. Yeah. Going into the unknown, I think that's almost exciting though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit.
You don't know where it's going to take you, right?
No, for sure.
But then, having said there's, you know, obviously you're in power of your journey. Really, we're making all these choices. There are still temptations out there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? Like that could sway your choice making.
Talk to me about those temptations.
Well, I suppose like. Okay, so maybe from a fitness point of view, you know, and you're trying to eat healthy, there's always like adverts coming up saying get your pizza, or there's cake shops everywhere. When you want to get out of bed and you want to train, it's raining and cold outside, so that might have an impact on your choice. A lack of time, so you get a takeaway, or you know. Socialising with your mates, and you know, I know there's the social pressures of hanging out with your mates on the weekend when maybe you don't want to. Like, there's so many things that could have an impact. But also, like, it's like what I said: choices. You make thousands of them every day without even realising, and you could just so easily just go into a shop and buy chocolate or buy something unhealthy, but you're not even thinking about it. And it's almost like. The guys in my program are like, how can I stop myself from doing that? Because I do make bad choices, but sometimes I can't help myself. Right. And
so what do you say to them?
Have you heard of like the 4-second rule?
Wait, where the foot falls on the floor and then...
No. You could, if you buy a chocolate, chuck it on the floor. No, but like if... I think be aware of the bad choices that you're making. Essentially, what is the thing that you're consistently doing in that moment, but when it does happen, give yourself 4 seconds to think about that choice or decision that you're going to make, and actually think whether is that one going to benefit you, or actually do I need to make that choice right now? Do you know what I mean? Is that do I need to do anything right now? Do you know what I mean? It's like for me as well. I used to be a very kind of like you know, in the moment I'll just buy like a bag of cookies. I'll be very impulsive. Yeah, like, or you know, that used to be me for a very long time, and most of the time I wasn't even hungry. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's like a habit,
yeah,
right?
It was bizarre. Like I just couldn't help myself. Once I got a thought in my head, I just went boom, 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 and all of a sudden I got a bag of cookies in my hand without just blinked and it's there. but that still creeps into my day sometimes where I am just like, oh, I'm just going to grab some food from the fridge. But then now I have to give myself about 4 seconds. But literally when I'm holding onto the fridge door, I'm just like, am I even hungry? Like, why am I getting this snack? Is it because I'm bored? Is it because I'm stressed? Or if I am hungry, then like get something to eat. But if not, then, and most of the time I am just like, no, actually I don't need to eat anything.
Yeah,
it's bizarre, but I need about 4 seconds to process that decision that I'm making, and almost just like make a better choice for myself. But like if I didn't give myself about 4 seconds, I'll just be like, boom, in and out, I'm grabbing something. So that's, I think that's something that's super helpful.
It's also what you have in your fridge as well, right? Like, I mean, for example, we talked about this before in terms of the idea of making something harder to do if it's a habit that you want to break. So you get to decide what's in your fridge, right?
Yeah.
Fridges don't just come action-packed with, like, pizzas and stuff in there. Like, you get to choose that. So if you curate, God, I love that word apparently.
Yeah.
Curate your fridge to be healthier, like, and the cupboards or whatever, then if you do kind of want to go into it, then it's going to be less bad than if, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then it might not even be the fridge. It's like, it might be TV adverts.
You'll find it.
Up, like
Deliveroo.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. But I think this is what I'm trying to say. It's just you're even though there's outside factors that maybe could sway your decision or your choice or whatever you want to make, but you're still in control and in power of that.
Yeah.
And actually, I think once you kind of realise that you are in control of the situation rather than blaming on other external factors, then I think you would then purposely make better choices.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Talk to me about a time when you made a bad decision and it helped you to realise that you were in control of your decisions, and then when it mattered, why it mattered.
When I made a bad decision.
How did it help you correct your path, like a bad decision that you'd made?
You know what? I wouldn't put it down to one big bad decision. I think it was just like it was like a number of bad decisions consistently doing the same thing over and over again. Like I used to. When I used to feel like crap and I had low energy and I used to show up to work and I'd be like exhausted and I just wasn't really feeling myself. I was kind of like blaming it on other things, but actually it was from me going out and partying too hard like most weekends kind of thing. But then how I felt at work, I blamed it on work, I blamed it on my sleep, I blamed it on those other things. But I was constantly making bad decisions on the night out with my mates, which then led me to staying up later in the night and then getting shit sleep the next day. It wasn't like it was like that one bad decision had a bad impact, like made a massive thing. It was like I was doing it every weekend and I couldn't help myself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think when I kind of realised, I was like, actually, it's all down to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm the one going out and doing whatever on a night out, and that's what's making me feel shit. Yeah. So either I kind of take control of the situation and actually decide that I do have a choice. I do have a choice to socialise with my friends, but maybe not take it as far as what I used to before, or I just keep blaming other things and not figure it out, kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that was one of the main things. Is like actually just socialising less and partying less, or even going out and actually saying to myself, I'm only going to have a few drinks.
Yeah, and actually doing it.
Yeah, and actually doing it. Fuck, that takes a lot of...
and the willpower.
Yeah, 100%. And I didn't do it straight away. It took me a lot of trial and errors. And I'm always the kind of person that if I have one drink, then, 10 drinks later, I'm like in the bin. But I am now very good at being like, And you know what? This also relates to like the 4-second rule. It's kind of like I'm out, I'm having a good time. I've drank a good amount of alcohol. I don't need to do any more. And then someone suggests like going to like somewhere else or an afters, or like do whatever. And in that situation, I well, actually without even me realising, I do the 4-second process where I'm just I know what happens after this.
Yeah, right.
If I go to the next bar, or if I go to my mate's house, or if we do this and that, or whatever, I know where that leads, and I know how I feel based on that.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to call it a night. Do you know what I mean? And every time I do that, and I do it all the time now, more than I used to. You do fucking feel good, because I know I'm going to wake up the next day feeling great and
on your high horse.
Yeah, no, but like
no, definitely, I agree.
So it wasn't back to your question. It wasn't like one. I can't really think of one bad choice that I've made. It just seems like the same bad choice over and over and over again. It's like I wasn't really learning. Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's probably the case with a lot of people. You know, it's maybe sometimes it takes something pretty big to change that. You know, otherwise, because we are always going to follow the path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
And it's just easier to not disrupt the status quo. So you're just going to stay like that. So sometimes it just takes something big to, like, I think you obviously at some point would have come to the realization that this wasn't serving you, right? And then that's when you made the change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree that, you know, and this is why decisions are so important, why we're all in control of our decisions. And perhaps we could encourage the viewers to let us know what decisions they have made that they either regret or that they're proud of, that have shaped their future.
Yeah. And also, just to finish off, I think even though making decisions is like your choice, but it also has an impact on everyone else. And like, obviously being a dad now, the decisions I'm making in front of him is the example I'm setting for him as well. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I can see that.
That's like another thing I wanted to throw out there, which kind of also added a bit more power to, you know, decisions that I make on a daily basis.
It's like your why, I guess.
Yeah, it's not just for me now. It's almost setting a good example for someone else who he does just watch you. He does everything.
Noticed,
So he even the other day, like me and Emily were just like we gave each other a kiss, and then all of a sudden he's sitting there going like that. I was like, you literally was fucking hilarious. So
that's so good.
So yeah, you guys have a power of choice. It's all in your hands, but also think about how it could have an impact on, you know, your loved ones and the people, what kind of standards you set for other people.
Definitely. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well.
Hit that subscribe button, and if you want loads of free stuff, click that link in the description.
See you next Thursday.
Nice.